I'm sure there are some people even this morning like, well, I knew the Heat could hang with the Bucks, and like I knew like the Heat, like they've done this before. It's like, well, they needed the best player on the Bucks to get hurt in game 1, set a franchise record for threes in game 3, and then have their players score 56 points in game 4. Like that's how we got here. And that's just a reminder that nothing's 100%. That like even though there's like things are statistical mismatches and teams are way better and the NBA is very chalky historically, there's always going to be some upsets because sometimes you have a series like this where there's a significant injury, historic performances, historic player performances, and the funny part is we've had all of that and the series still isn't over yet. Like that's actually the funny part. Look, I bet the Bucks to win the title, not for a ton, but like they're the only team I bet to win the title. And I bet some finals matchups with them just because like they made the most sense to me, and doesn't mean that they have to win. So I'm like sitting there watching, but I'm enjoying the game just like everybody. Like it's just insane. I mean, the sequence in the final 3 minutes where it's like make, stop, and then they're supposed to run the clock down and he just shoots anyway. It's the one that they end up ruling a 2 with whatever that was, 30 seconds left. That we thought put them up by 4, put them up by 3, where it's just like, nah, I'm just going to shoot again because I literally can't miss. Like, because I actually just can't miss. If I was the Heat, it would almost be like, we can just punt this game and try to win game 6 at home, basically. And you could be like, well, that's like pretty knee-jerk. Okay, well, teams do that literally all the time. Like, all the time when you get late into a series. So, especially it's like if you're down and it's like third quarter, it's like, yeah, we're good. Like, we're just good on this one. And we'll see you in a couple days. So, that's possible. I don't have any bets on game 5 right now. So just to take that one first, if I had to bet that market right now, I'd probably bet Milwaukee. I think they're extremely likely to win that game, but they have a looming problem, which is that in game 6 and game 7, they still have to face Jimmy Butler. And that appears to be really bad for them. And that the Heat have kind of figured a couple things out in the series to be a lot more competitive than we thought.
Okay. I think Milwaukee is going to win the series. Is it like the most confidence I've ever felt in anything? No. But I do think Milwaukee will win the series. And I think I texted you last night as the game was wrapping up. Milwaukee's got to win game 6, and I feel like they win the series, right? I don't think they would lose at home in game 5 or game 7. This version of the Miami Heat. Game 6 would obviously be the problematic one. Now, do I want to like take plus 125 with Milwaukee just to win the series? Or, Ken, is now potentially the time to place a futures bet on Milwaukee if you think they're going to come back and win this series? Like, do you think you'll get a better price on the Milwaukee Bucks than you will right now to win the NBA championship, plus 600 or plus 325 to win the Eastern Conference, where the Celtics are obviously the favorites right now? So what about like a potential, is now an entry point for Milwaukee if indeed you like Milwaukee? What about that here with betting the Bucks?
Well, it's an entry point for you, right? There's no question, because you think they're going to win the series. So if you think they're going to win the series, then this is like bombs away on all this stuff. This is the best price you're going to get on them to win the title. This is the best price you're going to get on Giannis to be finals MVP. This is the best price you're going to get on them to win the East. I mean, I even saw like a 675, I think, on them to win the title. It's just because, again, one game and they're actually out. And, you know, that's not true with Boston or Phoenix or some of these other teams. So yeah, if you think the Bucks are going to win the series and you like them, then yes, definitely, like, bet it. And also bet it before game 5. I think a lot of people woke up this morning and they were like, I need to explore other options. Like, it looks like the Bucks are in trouble, so let me go shop the Celtics, or let me go shop a Western Conference team, or let me go shop some of these teams. This is the worst possible time to do that. Like, why would you do that? This is the worst possible time to make any of those bets. Why? Because the Bucks are about to play a game where they're like 98% to win in the betting market. And what do you think happens when they're 98% to win and then they win? Then their odds improve. And the teams that you're thinking about betting right now, their odds get worse. And like they actually, the prices will get better for you if you want to bet on them. So like if you like the Celtics, like it's gonna get better because the Bucks are almost certainly, they're gonna lose sometimes, but like they're almost certainly gonna win game 5. So if you like the Celtics, at least let the Bucks get the gimme game here in game 5 out of the way and like let their odds rebound a little bit. I mean, they're a massive favorite in the betting market. And again, it's not that they have to win the game, but like pick an entry point that makes sense. Just like this is quote unquote the best time to buy Milwaukee because the price is the best. Even though I don't think I would advocate betting them right now, just because it's the best time. It also means it's like the worst time probably to bet everybody else. Because like, how do you think everyone else feels right now? Everyone else feels like the Bucks might get eliminated. Everyone else thinks the Celtics are really likely to win the title now. Like everyone feels that way. If everyone feels that way, how can it be a valuable bet right now? The valuable bet would be something that you think that the market is not pricing.
At BetMGM, the title market again, Boston plus 225, Phoenix at 4, Milwaukee at 6, Philly at 7, Warriors 8, Denver at 9, Lakers at 10, and my New York Knicks at 28. Ken, anything to do right now in the NBA title market?
Oh man, I just think if Milwaukee's eliminated, this will be like it'll be historic in some way, honestly, because just like historically, Milwaukee is the only team that kind of makes sense in all ways that champions usually make sense, and they're like maybe on the way out, and if they're on the way out, like Boston makes the next most sense, but Boston's best player doesn't fit with like the best player on 49 of the last 50 title teams, basically. Tatum isn't nearly as good as the best. And this isn't like me saying I think. It's like, no, the numbers, just like his metrics coming into the year, doesn't fit with the best player on a title team. Not even close. Tatum's a lot more like Donovan Mitchell than he is like, Curry or LeBron or Giannis, players that have won titles before and have had like monster statistical seasons. So, okay, Boston makes the most sense, but they have this problem, which is their best player isn't as good as the best player on most of the teams that they're going to play in the NBA Finals. They play Kevin Durant, or they play Jokic, or they play LeBron, or they play Curry. You got a big problem. And then you look at all the other teams, and it's just like, whew, like, okay, maybe the Warriors will be the team that never wins road games and wins the NBA title. Maybe the Lakers will be a team that kind of like mailed in large portions of the season, which champions never do, and win anyway, and with like a defense that's like not even that good versus NBA champions. And maybe it'll be like the Nuggets, whose defenses would be like comically bad versus all previous, the worst defensive team to ever win the title by far. It could be, it's going to be one of these flawed teams. Like if the Bucks are eliminated, just like with my work on the subject, then the winner is historically different than basically every other previous winner in some way. And not like some obscure, hard to understand way, like a really obvious way. Like Nuggets, worst defense to ever win the NBA championship. Like that's pretty interesting. Warriors, worst road team to ever win the NBA championship, ever. That's pretty interesting. So like if the Bucks are out, then that means we're making history in some way, which kind of just confirms that this was a pretty crazy season. Yeah, so a Reddit user put out a post like anonymously that's basically like, oh, Will Levis is telling people he's going number one overall. That could have been written by me or my 5-year-old daughter or Tyler or Nick or the mailman or like the guy walking outside right now. Anybody could have written that. All they needed was Reddit. So just like, I think it deserves that level of recognition, 0, basically. Just because it gets popular doesn't mean that it's rooted in anything. So I don't want this to be like if Will Levis goes first overall, be like, see, the Reddit poster was right. He could be right, but just like use your head a little bit here. An anonymous Reddit poster said Will Levis is telling people like if the guy came out after the fact and was just like, I just wanted to mess with everybody. Isn't that actually like a more likely explanation than that like he knows what no one else knows? Really? Like that's what's happening? And people are going to draw some comparisons with like Trey Lance going third, right? Where the morning of the draft, even though people didn't really have it yet, like insiders, Trey Lance was getting bet a ton to go third overall. That was like people who actually had information were betting and moving. This is dumb information comes out and then like casual bettors go rush to bet their $50 at like a sports book on it. So like those two aren't the same thing. Like who's doing the betting? Think about that. Who's doing the betting? Like who's going to bet $50 on something, and multiply that by 100 and you have enough that they're just going to move their markets on stuff, as opposed to like Lance, which was like really smart people betting a lot more money than this, a lot more on him to go third overall. Like those are two different things. So it's not just like, well, this happens all the time. This one's dumber. I can't use a different word than that. It's just less informed. And it doesn't mean it's wrong, but it is dumber than those other ones. So like, cool, he could go first overall. I had somebody smart message me earlier, be like, what did you make of it? Because everybody's messaging everybody saying, what do you make of this thing? Like, what is this? Not like, hey, like, should I bet Levis? Just like, what do you make of this? Like, what do you think? And I just go, look, he could be the first overall pick. I don't know for a fact who the first overall pick is going to be. Everyone who goes on television and people who are like very rarely wrong say it's Bryce Young. So that's probably got to be worth something. And then I just reframe it as, would I ever make a bet based on this? And the this could be anything, but in this specific case, the this is a Reddit post. Would I ever make a bet based on this? And my answer is just, in this case, is always going to be no. So like whether Levis goes first or not, or the odds move or not because of this rumor, is it a good reason to make a bet? Just like think of like, should I put money down and then like after the fact be like, hey, why'd you like you're talking to a friend who didn't bet the draft, like why did you bet Levis? Well, this Reddit poster put something out. Like when you think about it after the fact, you go like, man, that's a really stupid reason to make a bet on something. That's really dumb. And even if he goes first, So I don't think it's a good reason to make a bet. He could go number 1 overall. So could anybody. I just think it's a really bad reason to bet on something.